track some issues which are confronting the ICT-based extension services and related issues. Many of the concerns have been raised, particularly the chairman and co-chairman today morning hit the nail. So both of you made some points which have a larger implication on what has to happen if it has to be sustainable. The question was sustainability, the question was a business model. Whether the government pays or the private pays or whoever is paying, the model has to be a business model. Then the money from where it comes from, that we will adjust later. That's the second issue. Okay. So this is one point which we were trying to deliberate during the last couple of months and at least a year plus. So we three organizations have come together, led by Krishna and Infosys on the one side and IL&FS, Infrastructure, Leasing and Financial Services, my firm on the other side, and also backed up by a goodwill of IFAD now to accommodate it within their overall perspective, our development agenda. So we are trying to develop actually a model. Now we have actually let us stratify the three. We have the knowledge base. Probably it is the least talked about topic in such area. And thanks Dr. Rao. You made some very critical comments, and also Mr. Dr. Reddy also. And then the ICT, which is a vehicle, and then third is the reach. Now all these are three distinct aspects which we have to address if we have to develop a comprehensive holistic model. I would still say it may not be the most appropriate, but it can be near appropriate or near correct. Now what we are trying to do is, one, of course, we have got a lot of inputs today. We have a lot of isolated things. As I mentioned early in the morning in my brief, brief remarks, there are several initiatives which are taking place. But each one is stopping at one point or other, because you may have 1 million or you may have 3 million or 4 million SMS going around and all that. But ultimately, we have to have a real analysis of what kind of data is being provided and how is it being used and what kind of efficacy it has brought into the farming system. Ultimately, farmer wants what? He wants his income to be increased, number one, bottom line. Second, other things are empowerment, all other issues are centric to that. First, he is looking at a better product. My own personal experience with working with smallholders, it's a notion that smallholders cannot pay. I'm not telling all smallholders. Even in smallholders, there's a category which can pay for an information if it is found useful to you. So that's why we say we should have a target group-based approach. We cannot broadly classify smallholders in one basket. Now, even for your information, Doctor, even in India, in one acre smallholder will pay, because there are many contexts where the smallholder is not a 100% smallholder, because he has other sources of income. He may be educated. If he has got a better technology, he is ready to pay for it. But unfortunately, our technology delivery, or rather the knowledge generation system needs to be looked at very closely. So what we are trying is, we are trying to address in three phases in a pilot product which we would be launching soon, where we try to create a knowledge generation system which would generate some information which are useful to the farmers with least human interface the farmer can access. But every information dissemination would require a human interface, which we have seen. Whether it is Isabu or whether it is Reuter Light or whatever is it, a simple line or two to the farmer doesn't make much sense to him. He needs much more information on that. Particularly when he has to contextualize in his setting, in his farm or village or in his block, he needs far more information, and he needs it to be far more interactive. Can we give him a solution? Finally, the decision support system becomes very critical for that. So we need to fine-tune the decision support system which we have at the moment, because the current decision support systems again are isolated. You give weather-based solution, you give pest-based solutions, but can't there be an integration? So I think we will require actually excellent crop modeling support for this, where we need a horizontal integration of all these within the existing data. After mining the existing data, we don't try to reinvent wheel, because I'm sure a lot of information is available within universities, within research institutes, within the ICSAC system. So all these things, if from a different view, from an unconventional way, if you look at the data and you find the data, I think a modeling would be possible, addressing a larger number of variables which can ultimately contribute to the main factor, the yield part. Second, it should also, we should not stop at yield alone. It should have market access. It should have a range of, if it has to be a one-stop solution to the farmer, normally, you prescribe something and he doesn't get it. The inputs are not available. So we need to connect them to inputs, we need to connect them to insurance, we need to connect them to credit delivery system. All these are possible in the emerging situation. The CSEs being mentioned now, front end, CSEs are also starved of why? The business model was not very robust because the country was not ready with the right kind of information and right kind of systems and policies to support such a venture so that the farmers can access everything. But now it is coming up. So this is the right time where we should come together. So we feel one is the knowledge creation phase. Second is fine-tuning the ICT platforms and ICT conduits. That I think is fairly simplistic when compared to the first part. First part we need, I don't mean to say that we should do academic research. Let us leave it to the universities to do that or research institutes to do that. But take the best out of it, take the best lessons and try to customize it to meet some pilot situations initially so that it can be scaled up to a larger scale with appropriate institutional linkages, maybe with international organizations, with global forum, with PIFAD and other institutions coming forward. And now the last part is how are we going to take it? I am actually, maybe I am a bit traditional in my thinking because I was a scientist first, then I became an extension delivery, extension guy. But there, the human interface cannot be completely eliminated at any cost. Yes. But we have to really minimize that human interface. So in the ideal situation, 1:800 farmers, we may not be able to achieve in the present context. For example, many of the developing countries cannot afford to have that kind of luxury of having a large fleet of extension officers in the coming years, number one. Now, even if we have extension officers, are they equipped to handle everything? Now, 87% of the questions being handled by the first level means the agriculture graduate giving actually a paracetamol solution, which I said in the morning. But if you have in a village two situations where one plot gives you 4 tons, 5 tons, another plot gives you 2 tons, can we analyze that? Can we easy in a person to analyze the solution so that how to take this 2 to 4 tons? He cannot do that. He can only give you a blanket solution, maybe addressing the first level of problem. So that part has to be tackled slightly differently. So here, I think probably in the pilot which we are planning to have, we are also trying to address the last mile connectivity to a certain extent. That means even though it is beyond the scope of an ICT-based project, we will at least try to address these to some of the tried and tested methods which are proved to be successful. For example, we should have our learnings from other countries and other experience. I had an opportunity to see the cherry farmers in Michigan, long back. The way they have organized, they have moved up the value chain. It is amazing because in 1950s they said it was done full with government support. But when I went in 2000, it was 100% owned by farmers' organizations. Now here within the country we have examples. We have examples where 1 million farmers are serviced by just 400 extension workers. I was telling the case of rubber, which achieved a productivity enhancement of about 10 times during the last 5 decades, last 4 decades. How was it possible? See, one extension officer to 3,000 is the ratio. But they tackled it through an institutional mechanism to reach the farm. So that will address many of the issues of taking the village as a unit or that clustering approach. But in the clustering approach, the main challenge is the institutional support. Are they equipped to handle this? The capacity building which is required to keep the institution intact, that is very critical. So that is I think most of the ICT-based interventions do not address these things. That is why even in the 12th plan, we had two sessions, 2 working groups parallel going on. It should have been converged. You are creating ICT at the same base. There was another subgroup on commodity organizations going parallelly with no linkage. No, this will not work. So at least when that happens there, we are trying now with 3 organizations, we are trying to have some kind of an arrangement where we can create a pilot model which can be shown otherwise this will work. Adopt it as a part of policy and scale it up. This is what we are trying to do in this project. Now we have if you give any IT solutions to, I mean, an organization like Infosys in no time they will deliver. But we need to create information. That's where we have IL&FS and with their horizontal spread in the field of science, I think we will be able to address the scientific issues, maybe with appropriate linkages and tie-ups with the universities. And we got many inputs, I can't detail out everything. And ultimately the PPP also we have to begin with, the public-private partnership, appropriately, so that even PPP projects are viable. PPP projects are economically viable. I think if at a stage, we will have negative revenue sharing. Instead of giving you, you can give it. But initially somebody should take up the lead. So that's a possibility in that. So that I think we are trying an vertical integration and also a horizontal spread. So this is being, I mean we are roughly trying to have a 360 view of the whole thing. Now today the 360 view was presented, but in a more structured way to begin with, and then probably to scale up. This is what we are trying. Anything else we need to?
Oh, thank you, Dr. A.K. Very well presented and clear, Chris. So now we can give chairman and co-chairman, if you allow. There are only a few questions. Like, see, so though Dr. A.K. mentioned we are 3 organizations.
No, that's only a beginning.
Yeah, beginning. So, and even